Hello, children. Let's study the chapter The Enemy Today by Pearl S. Buck. Let us know about the author first. Pearl S. Buck was an American writer and novelist. She was born on June 26, 1892, in West Virginia, US. She won the Pulitzer Prize in the year 1932 and also the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1938. She died in the year 1973. Her novel, The Good Earth, was the best selling fiction book in the US in 1931 and 1932. So, children, the backdrop of the chapter is the World War II that lasted from 1939 to 1945, in which, along with the other countries, the Americans and the Japanese were at war with each other. And in this chapter, we'll read how an American prisoner of war is washed ashore at the doorsteps of of a Japanese doctor and his wife, and how they know and they are reminded that their country is at war with his, but there is always a world beyond that. A world beyond all reasons, a world of professional loyalty, and a world of devotion to duty. This is all we would read in this chapter. Let's discuss the summary of the chapter. In the summary, let's talk about Dr. Sadao's childhood. As a child, he lived in a stone house that was located upon rocks above the narrow beach. And he used to climb pines, he watched islands, and played along the coast. His father was a great inspirational force for him, and his father always taught him that our future depends upon how we build it. Now, Dr. Sadao's father had been fully devoted to Sadao's education, and therefore he sent him to America at the age of 22 to learn surgery and medicine, and he returned to Japan at the age of 30, and thereafter he became a famous scientist and a surgeon. Now, as we know that the World War II was going on, but Sadao was not sent out with the troops. Why? Because the Japanese general was suffering from a condition for which he could have needed surgery at any time, and he trusted nobody but Sadao. Sadao was indispensable. He was essential not only for the general but also for Japan, because he was perfecting a discovery that would render wounds entirely clean. Therefore, his presence in Japan was absolutely essential. Dr. Sadao met Hannah, his wife in America, at the house of his teacher, Professor Harley. And she was a very loving and a caring and a very pleasant, affectionate lady. But they both got married in Japan only in the most traditional way in order to please Dr. Sadao's father. One foggy night, when Sadao and his wife Hannah were standing on the veranda of their house, they saw a man tossed over by the waves, and the man just collapsed and landed on the seashore near their house. And when they went near, they found that he was an American, an enemy, a prisoner of war. They were torn between two choices, whether to take him home or to just leave him there and turn him over to the sea. The man was wounded, he was badly injured. So humanity won over patriotism, and Sadao and his wife carried him home, and the wounded man, was washed by Hana because the servants, especially Yumi, refused to do anything with the dirty white man, and he was operated upon by Sadao. The bullet was taken out from his body, and Hana gave him anesthesia, even though she had never done so earlier. She was not a professional anesthetic, but still she did so. The prisoner of war was fed by Hana, and he was made to rest, he was made to recover in their home in Sadao's father's room. And he was very weak and he was tensed about his future, what would happen to him. On the seventh day, after having taken in the prisoner of war, the servants decided to leave the household as a mark of protest for giving shelter to an enemy. And Sadao was going through an emotional phase. A turmoil was going on in his life. A conflict was going on between his duties as a doctor, because he has been taught to save lives, and as Japanese, as a patriot, his duties towards his motherland. And he also knew that his reputation was at stake. The future of his children were at the future of his children was at stake. But still, he stood firm. He and his wife did not relent, and they kept on treating and giving shelter to the prisoner of war. And Sadao continued to treat his wounds. Sadao finally informed the general about the American prisoner of war. He gave him all the details, and the general assured him that he would get the American prisoner of war slain. He would send his own private assassins to not only kill the American prisoner of war, but also dispose of the body. And but Sadao had to wait for 3 consecutive nights, and he had to spend 3 sleepless nights. But the assassins never turned up. They didn't come. So he was growing restless, and he was becoming very tensed now. When Sadao could no longer deal with it, he decided to get rid of the prisoner of war himself. He provided him with a boat, having food and some clothes, and also certain essentials like a flashlight to signal trouble. And he told him to row to a nearby uninhabited island, and asked him to wait for a Korean fishing boat in order to run away further. He also told him to flash the torch twice if he ran out of food, and once if he was all right. And the prisoner finally escaped. General admitted his folly, his mistake of not sending the assassins to kill the American prisoner of war, but he elaborated, and he tried justifying the act by saying that it was not because of his dereliction of duty towards his motherland, or lack of patriotism, or human consideration, or his American experience. It is not because of this, but because of his ill health. He felt that the recent surgery made him forgetful in sending the assassins to eliminate the prisoner of war. Sadao wondered as to why he had saved the life of the American prisoner of war, but then thinking over it, he realized that maybe humanity overpowered his feelings of hatred towards an enemy, the American prisoner of war. And there is an important message that this story is giving, and the message is that the service of the wounded and the ailing is the best example of patriotism, and all the doctors of the world should rise above nationality, they should rise above religion, caste, or creed in order to utilize their specialized training to serve mankind. So children, this is all about this chapter and its summary. Hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much.